Welcome, everybody, to another episode of the Haunted Vermont podcast. My name is Paul Doski, and tonight we got a special guest for the listeners' ghost stories. We haven't had one in a while, so this nice guy named Robert Leite has contacted us and wanted to share his experiences because, we'll let Robert get into it. So, Robert, welcome aboard.
Yeah, thanks for having me. This is really exciting.
Yeah, Robert. I appreciate you getting in contact with me. I know by email originally that you sent me, you were telling me. So from the way I want to maybe let the listeners know is for you at the very beginning, would you consider yourself a skeptic at first, or were you just more of a non-believer, which is fine either way, but what would be the correct term that you would call yourself back in the day before you had the experiences?
I would say I wasn't really a skeptic per se. I believe there was definitely like something with ghosts, but I wasn't 100%. Um, I wasn't 100% convinced. Like convinced that like maybe some stuff happens that is unexplained, but in my opinion, I think most of it can be debunked. And I'm still in that realm, but at the same time, I'm like, now that I'm a little bit older and had these experiences, I'm like, well, maybe there's something more that some people need to see.
That's fair. That's fair. Now, so Robert, give us a little background of yourself. Like, as far as you went to Castleton, I'm assuming. So,
Sure.
is that where just these experiences took place, or was it just like close by?
So, funny story about that. We tried to do like for my video class, we tried to do like a haunted Castleton. It might be still in the archives in like the video editing class. We didn't get anything like predominant, but we interviewed like students that were like that had certain experiences in certain dorms. So that's not where like my stuff started, but that's like a funny tie in the Castleton that I we kind of did like a haunted Castleton video.
That is awesome. I like the idea of it. Yeah, I wonder if it's still around. If so, I wouldn't mind seeing what you had at least.
Me
Um,
too.
So anyway, Robert, I don't want to, like I said, I don't want to you be the one to kind of blabber your ears off here. So I will let you take the floor. Tell us what your experiences are.
So I'll ask you a question quick because I'm not used to being on this side. So do you? I have two stories actually, and one actually takes place when I was young, when I grew up in Jersey. So I don't know if you want to explore that one or just explore the Vermont one. We could do both.
Yeah, we can do both. I mean, so I guess let me ask you: were you in Vermont before or New Jersey beforehand?
I actually grew up for 17 years of my life in New Jersey, and I moved here
Oh, okay.
around 2006. So I've been here. I've been split pretty well. So
Yeah, yeah. Let's start from the beginning then. Let's start from New Jersey and head right into Vermont then. Yeah.
right, great. So yeah, when I was younger, my dad used to work at this like museum, and it was all these like old houses that they like picked up and dropped into this like small little outside museum. And so there's like different houses. There's a barracks, there's a meeting house, there was a church, there was a school. And my dad worked in one of the like normal houses where people lived. And these houses, let me tell you, are from like the 17, 16, and 1800s. They're really old houses. And there was one house that was always being renovated. It was never ever finished. They did have a museum part upstairs, but it was rarely used. It was mostly used for the Halloween. They have like a Halloween like ghost story thing they do, and you never go in the house because it was always being renovated or painted or something was always wrong with the house. So one day my dad actually had to go in the house and do some maintenance to it, He was actually the maintenance man for the whole grounds. And so at that time, I was obsessed with Ghost Hunters, obsessed with that show. And we go upstairs where the museum part is. And, my dad has told me some weird stuff would happen in the houses, but he was always just like, it's probably nothing. It's probably just an old house making, creaks and noises. So I decided, you know what? Dad's a little busy in the next room. Why don't I just start doing like a ghost hunt? And I told him that I was going to do it. And he's like, actually, let me join you because I'm actually done with what I had to do. So in the museum part, they have like all these like pictures and like summaries of the house and certain people who live there. So I decided to ask normal questions like, anybody here with us or stuff like that. Nothing really happened. So then I started reading off the summary in the museum part and reading off all these names. And then some noises happened, some knocking, some tapping. And then the next room where my dad was, he was with me now. It was like almost sounded like commotion, like there was something going on. No voices or anything, but like lots of movement. And I thought, that's weird. There's nobody else in the house because we locked it. We usually lock the houses behind us. So we go in, of course, there's nothing there. Nobody's in the house besides us two. I'm like, that's just so weird. So I just started, I keep doing the ghost hunt. I keep asking questions. I keep making noises. And it was mostly just knocks. And when it started to get weird was when we heard a knock upstairs. Now, we were already on the second floor. And the only way to the third floor is there's no way, actually. There's a staircase that leads to nowhere, and the elevator in that house does not go to the third floor. So nothing goes to the third floor. So that's so weird. And it was like banging, like knocking, like a knock on the door. I'm like, there's no way you can get up. There's no way anybody's up there because there's nowhere to get up there. I even climbed up the stairs and like, there's dead end. There's literally stairs and ceiling. And then we're like, this is weird. And then the noise is starting to get louder and louder until we heard a huge bang from the kitchen downstairs. We're like, let's go downstairs. What the heck was that? I mean, it was loud. It echoed through the whole house. And we get down there and check in the rooms, like, there's nobody here. And then my dad's like, oh my God. I was like, my dad does not get scared. So this must be good. We go in the kitchen and the chandelier is moving. We're like, how the hell is the chandelier moving? There's no way to get in the kitchen unless you come through the house and the door's locked. We would have heard the door. The doors are very loud in these houses. And we're like, we should go. So we went out and went back to where my dad usually stays throughout the day. His little house. He actually stayed in one of the houses during the day when he did maintenance. And so, at that point, we're thinking, what the heck happened? There was nobody in the house. The only way to get in the house is with a key. And not everybody has a key to the house because it's so, always being fixed on. So we're like, well, that was weird. That was very weird. And it didn't end there. It kept going. My dad's house, where he stays during the day for work, um, stuff started happening. So it was like these weird noises again. Like there's nobody in the house. We checked every room. Like right before these noises started, we're like, we should probably check if somebody's in here. And we even called for other employees. Now there were only 2 other employees this time, and they were in the barracks, which is like 2 houses down from us. So it's kind of a walk to get to my dad's place. And so I just did another ghost hunt upstairs, and nothing was happening. I was like, you gotta be kidding me. We just heard all these creaks and cracks and nothing. I go downstairs. We go downstairs, and instantly, footsteps. It's like, that's interesting. Footsteps is probably my favorite thing to hear. we heard footsteps, like boots, and it was like in the middle of the spring, so nobody had boots on. And we're like, okay, now it's happening. So footsteps, lots of footsteps, and they stopped. Dad and I run up the stairs, like we gotta see if somebody's here, and we even like yelling for employees, like, "Hey, Mike, are you there?" Nothing. We checked every room, nothing, and the footsteps stopped. We go back downstairs. They start again. And we're like, you gotta be kidding me. And then all of a sudden, nothing. No footsteps, no nothing, no talking, nothing. And then probably the creepiest thing that's ever happened in my life, and I'm getting chills as this happens. Earlier in the day, I was playing with a tennis ball and I left it on a table. And I noticed when I walked downstairs that the tennis ball was gone. And as soon as I noticed it, the tennis ball starts falling down the stairs. And that was when I was like, something is here. And it's not any of your employees. And it's definitely not you and I, because we're standing right here watching the ball fall down the stairs. And at that point, my dad's like, I'm going to leave early. We're leaving. Let's go. So we left. And yeah, that was definitely a weird experience, and that was the day I started to be like, maybe this stuff is real, because all I did was a low adult sense, and all this stuff started happening. It was definitely a weird experience, and when people ask, "Do you believe in ghosts?" and like, I always bring this one up first because it was my first experience, and I still remember it to this day.
Yeah, I don't blame you. Yeah, usually the first experience will always stay with you. I don't care what
Mhm.
anybody says because,
Right.
like you, man. I remember when I was sort of like skeptic about the idea of that there's something else going on in this world. Because you're kind of like you. I was the one also watching Ghost Hunters and stuff, and I never would have thought like, oh yeah, like there's probably something in this house that I'm in right now, but not like I want to go looking for it per
Right.
se, but it's just like but I think also when I was a kid, you know, I think we all realized that the TV just pretty much meant entertainment, but
Yep.
I mean, it was more like Ghost Hunters actually had a real episode versus like let's just say like a loud pipe or a leaky something.
Yep.
Um, then it kind of just opened up the mind a little bit of like, huh, like that's weird. Like they couldn't figure it out, and even us watching were kind of just like, yeah. I mean, what else could you have done to try to debunk it?
Exactly.
Um, so going back to this story that you're talking about, Robert, do you remember at all? Like, I don't know, did you ever like the weather at all? Like, was it nice out? Was it cold out? Like, was it around a full moon time? Like, do you remember any sort of details like that?
I don't remember per se. It was like I said, I remember there was no snow on the ground. So when I heard the boots, I thought that was weird. It was like middle spring. It might have been like a chilly spring day, but it was bright
Hmm.
sunny. It wasn't foggy at all, no rain. So I know people are always like, full moon, was it dark out? Yada yada yada. But yeah, it was actually a pretty sunny day out.
Right. Yeah. No, I just know because I don't know if you or like how well you know about this, but they say like with the moon kind of gives off. Well, I mean everything gives off energy, but I guess
Mhm.
when it comes more of like the moon, when it becomes like a full moon, it's like the more of a high battery it is. So that's why I was asking because because back when I used to do my own investigation with a couple buddies of mine, we should have just called our team the full moon investigators because we would always try to go around the full moon time. But just because it seems like the full moon is like the perfect battery
Right.
for the spirit to basically draw from. So again, that's why I was
Hmm.
just asking if you knew anything. Kind of like with water. Water is a great source of energy for spirits as well. Same with specific type of rocks or stone or something. I just maybe granite. I'm trying to think of. I might be wrong, but I know there's a specific type of stone as well that could actually help be a battery as well.
I didn't know about the stone part. I definitely knew about like draining batteries. Like I've seen that happen where like they drain from either lights or like phones. Well, nowadays phones and stuff like that or
Yep.
cameras.
Yeah, or cameras. Sometimes they can even drain from us even because
Huh.
like could I don't think I've ever put this on the record, but just to kind of maybe for somebody listening too, or maybe you too as well. But hey, either way, it's a story. I remember going somewhere to investigate something. I can't even remember, but I just remember the next day I was so exhausted, like
Huh.
everything about me just ached. Like it just felt like I just, like I don't know, did like 1,000 push-ups or something, and like just like worked out way too long or something. Like my whole entire body just ached. Like it was hard for me to do anything. So but I think that was just a sign that whatever was around was just drawing energy from me. So, yeah, because it was pretty bad for me that time.
Huh. That's interesting. I've heard about that, but I never really dove into like the next day and how people feel because usually, like you said, when you watch the TV shows, it's a TV show. So the next day, they're usually like, "Oh, it's time to look at the footage." Like they're all like just yappy and like not even like drained of energy.
Right. Well, you gotta also think since that is TV, like how long after that investigation was
Right.
that even filmed? So, I
Mhm.
mean, for all we know, it could have been like two nights later, so or 2 days later, is what I should say. So, I mean, who
Right.
who who really knows? Yeah, just for anybody out there, there's some ideas too. This would probably like also where I don't know if you guys did like your own or you and your father you were saying, right? I'm just making sure I
Yeah.
had yeah. So it's not like with this house, it wasn't like somebody could easily, I don't know, like open like a window or something and kind of duck in or something. It's kind of like a museum, right? Like I know sometimes some museums have an extra door in the back or something. So it's not like somebody forgot the door and or yeah, to lock the door and somebody like got in that way. But then again, from the way your stories sound as you went to investigate, it's like where could they have gone? So um,
Yeah, and they're old houses too. I would also put this out for the audience, and they're old houses. They're like from the 1700s that they found. So they still have the original doorknobs. And as you probably know, old doors creak a lot and make a lot of noise. So I think we would have heard somebody come in if they were able to get or able if they're able to have the key. Even the windows too were really hard to open.
hmm, yeah, yeah, and so the when you were hearing the footsteps too. Now, since we're talking an old house again, are we even talking like the creaky old like wooden floors as well that really have like that thud?
I've heard that before, yes, in those houses per se, but this was pretty heel to toe. Like I could tell it was heel to toe, and it was a boot
Mm,
too. It was really loud. Like it was like heel toe.
geez,
Yeah,
that's crazy.
yeah. Like I said, I think footsteps is the one that freaks me out the most. I mean, aspirations are would be awesome to see, but just knowing that there's somebody else that you don't know like
there.
walking
Yeah,
around. Yeah,
yeah, yeah. I mean, um, I think what would have really have grabbed my attention as well as it sounded like it did with you as you were telling the story is the tennis ball, because like we always hear about stuff goes missing or gets misplaced where you didn't set it down, and or even if you lost something, they say like if you even ask the universe like, hey, can you can you place, et cetera, whatever you're looking for, like on my table, that would be great. And sometimes, the universe will answer, and like your missing item is now showing up on like your table or wherever you asked to have it come back to you. It's almost like it's almost like that weird thing where it's like um deja vu in a way. It's like you put the key down, you pick it up and put it in your pocket, but then it's kind of like that weird type of thing where you forgot that, oh, I just picked it up and put it in my pocket, whereas I just put it on the table. But then if you put it on the table and nobody else is around, and then you walk away for however long, you come back and return, kind of like that tennis ball. um you know, you it it definitely kind of gives you like that mentality of like it's like it's I don't really know the good word for this. Maybe you might, but it's almost like you're reconsidering of like your last few steps of what you just did with your keys, or in this case, your tennis ball, where you put it down there, but
right.
now all of a sudden it's gone. So it's almost like you're delusional in a way. Maybe that might
Yeah,
be what I'm thinking of.
and I didn't even say it out loud. I kind of whispered under my breath, like, "Where's my tennis ball?" Like, it was so weird. Like, and my dad didn't even hear me say that. I'm just like, "Where's my tennis ball?" Like I said it to myself. And
Right.
I know, if there's a skeptic out there, like maybe somebody was upstairs and they dropped it. I mean, that could have happened, and maybe somebody came in and moved it on purpose. But also does it explain? My dad and I were up there checking every room when we heard the footsteps. And the funny thing is, the footsteps stopped until we went back downstairs, and then they started again. And like I said, we checked every room. There was only like 2, 3 rooms up there.
And it's not like I'm trying to think of how to properly word this, but like there wasn't like anything they could really hide behind, right? Like I'm assuming if you guys were looking, I would assume you both didn't go into a room. One kind of stayed by the door, right? And then the other one kind of looked in the room.
So yeah, basically, yeah. I mean, it was like I said, museum. So there were like things in the room to hide
Yeah.
behind, but like there's room. There needs to be room for other people to walk in and be able to see what's going on, to read the display cases, and to read what's on the like display for explaining what happened in this house and stuff like that.
Oh, like the
So
plaque or
yeah,
whatever.
like the plaque. So if somebody was in there and they had to move quick, probably would have. I've knocked stuff over at my dad's before. So I think somebody would have probably knocked something over, or we would hear them scurry around. Because like I said, the house is old and it's very loud. If you can hear anything in that house.
Right. Right. So it sounds like you guys did a good job trying to sweep through and make sure that there was, in fact, like not an intruder. So in this case, yeah, I mean, I would say you guys did, you did good on trying to at least get that to the bottom line, and the fact that you guys couldn't find anybody, and as you were saying, the footsteps would stop as you went up there and then come back when you guys went back downstairs. I mean, that's interesting.
It's like it was toying with us, like it was wanting to play.
Right. Right. Yeah, and that's probably why it took the tennis ball, and as you said, almost like they tossed it down the stairs. So yeah, I think it was just a way of trying to say like, "Hey, I'm tossing the ball to you because I like the fact of the ball, I think every kid did it, right?
Right.
We took like a ball, or even like, what was that old toy that we grew up with? Slinky. I think that was the name of it, where it would just go down the stairs like that. I mean, yeah, it's probably just that way of saying like, oh, I love the way the ball or whatever you have per se is going down the stairs. Whereas since you were down at the bottom, you could have easily have grabbed the tennis ball and tossed it right back. Kind of makes me wonder what would have happened if you were to have done that. If you did.
That would have been, yeah, that would have been an experience for the ages.
Oh yes. So anyway, Robert, is there any? Was that the only thing for New Jersey before Vermont, or is it now kind of going into Vermont now?
I mean, I did live in an old house, but it wasn't like, there wasn't a lot of experiences there.
Right.
Um, the only weird one that years later was like, oh, really? Was sometimes around Christmas when I was little, um, I would be playing downstairs by myself, and I would hear like the stairs creak, like somebody's coming down the stairs, and then it would
Hmm.
just stop, but nobody was there. Everybody was in their respective rooms.
Right.
And as a kid, you just kind of just brush it off, like maybe I'm just imagining things. And then, you know, a few years later, I learned from being older and asking questions that my one of my uncle's relatives died in that house by falling down the stairs.
Oh, geez.
And I was like, "Are you kidding me?" And that's when I revealed to my uncle who lived with us, like, you know, and he died on Christmas Eve too, this guy.
Oh,
And
wow.
I'm like, for years, I never said this to anybody, but on Christmas Eve or like around Christmas, if I'm by myself, I hear the stairs creak like somebody's coming down. And he says, "Yeah, that's how he died. He died in the middle of that staircase that you were playing near." I was like, "That's insane."
Yeah.
And
Now,
like
I
that
guess.
house
Oh,
would have like never. I would never have a lot of experiences at the house, but that was the only one
that's
that would happen.
interesting.
Yeah,
We're gonna ask if you maybe thought that your experience would be more of a residual haunting versus an intelligent, but if that was your only one, man, that's so hard to say because, um, I mean, I know residual haunting. I don't know if you're familiar with that term, but
yeah,
basically, it's like for those maybe that don't know what I'm talking about. Residual is basically like it repeats itself,
yeah,
the same thing over and over and over. So, whereas an intelligent, where it would actually, and I'm just saying this for the listener, Robert, but in this case, like the spirit would have reached out to Robert, like to interact with, basically to answer Robert if Robert were talking to them, basically, or it, because who knows what it was. But yeah, so I guess Robert, you know, for the stuff that went down in New Jersey, would you say it was more of a residual, or would you say it landed more of an intelligent side?
it's well for where I was living, I would definitely say that's residual because of like you said, it kept repeating itself. Like it was always around Christmas, and it was only down the stairs.
Hmm.
It gets tricky with the museum where my dad worked though, because um, I don't feel like many people were like trying to do what my dad and I were doing was calling out these spirits. Like, are they like trying to interact with us, or were they reliving a time when I was asking the questions? Maybe they're still stuck in that
That
1800s
time of,
era.
yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah,
like that's a weird one for me. Was the museum one, except for the tennis ball, because that's obviously interacting.
correct. Yep. Yeah. So I would say it's probably a mixture of both from the way
Yeah.
your it sounds like it. But who knows?
Mhm.
I mean, maybe it could have just been intelligent. Whereas, yes, they were doing the footsteps and walking and stuff just to kind of say, "Hey, we're here. We're just walking around." I guess.
Right.
I, so yeah. So okay. Well, Robert. So what do you got for us as you came to Vermont? I guess.
So, I would say there was like years where I would basically just watch Ghost Hunters and be like, you know what, that would be so much fun to do. And that was basically for years. I was just like, that'd be so much fun to do. It's ghost hunt. It'd be so much fun. And the house I lived in Vermont with my parents before I graduated high school, and after college and stuff, it was a pretty new house. I mean, nothing really happened. I mean, in my opinion, my dad's opinion, it did feel like something was there, but we never decided to um go for it. We just felt like there was a good presence, and we're just like, you know what, we're just gonna leave it. We're gonna leave it alone. We always felt protected there. We always felt watched, but it was like almost like a protection. So we kind of just like, you know what, we'll just leave it. And fast forward a couple years ago, I got a couple people, my friends, to like go visit like abandoned places just for fun. And obviously they're hard to get in because certain people own it, or maybe the state owns it. So we would kind of like walk around them and take pictures, and it was fun. And we went to the cemetery in Chester, Vermont, which was fun. Um, I wouldn't call any experiences there, but what started me to be skeptical again was my friend had this phone app. I actually have it now because of the experience, but I'll tell you, it kind of convinced me. It's called GhostTube, and it's like white noise. It's like a white noise machine, and voices come through and stuff like that. And at the cemetery, things were happening, and I'm like, okay, well, that's weird. Maybe it's just coincidence that it's someone to walk over there, and oh, we found something. That's weird. Okay, maybe just a coincidence. That's what I thought at first. And so then that same day, we decided, I was itching for something because I was like, you know what, we had no luck at cemetery. You guys think we had luck, but I believe we had no luck at cemetery. Let's go somewhere else. So we go to Chittenden, Vermont, where I live now, North Chittenden, technically. And we went to this settlement. There's a settlement in Chittenden called New Boston. And people go nuts about this place. I'm on one of the ghost Facebook pages, and people always rave about this place. Like, it's great for experiences, great for a hike, even. And at the top of the mountain peak, it's a pretty short mountain peak, but you can see like all of Chittenden, and people rave about it. So we decide, let's go. And it's past Mountaintop Inn, and we find a place to park, and it's dirt road and mostly just woods. And so my friend decides, let's get our ghost tube and see if we get anything. We get any words coming through. And we're walking. Ghost tube is going off. It's not making any sense. And then all of a sudden, it says blood. And we just stop. We're like, whoa. That's like, that is so weird. It said blood. And we just stop. And then I keep going. I walk a little bit more. And then I just stop. And I don't get these feelings. My friend who was with us, she does though. She's like one of those people that feel things, and I'm half skeptic about that. But I felt something like, we need to stop. We can't keep walking. We need to stop right here. And eventually, she was like, "No, we should stop." Also, because the road splits. You go one way in the woods, you can go the other way in the woods, or you go up the road. And we couldn't decide. We just stopped. Like something was stopping us from going somewhere. then all of a sudden we hear drumming. And not like a drum set. Like there were some houses there, but like after a mile, there's nothing. It's just dirt road and the mountain. And we hear this like drumming. And the way I could describe it was like almost like Native American. And we're like walking around the area where we were, and we're trying to look in the woods and we don't see a thing. But every time the drumming gets louder, and we're like, we're pretty far away from the inn. There's and the inn wasn't that packed. And we're just looking around, and then we're like, it has to be in the woods somewhere. But something's telling us not to move, so we're not going to go anywhere. But the drumming just kept getting louder and louder, and it just kept going on and on. And eventually it stopped. It just stopped, and it was dead silence. That I never felt silence like that I did in New Boston. And then Ghost Tube said murder and boot right after. And I was like, so it's a blood, murder, and boot. I'm like, that's so weird. And then in the woods, we heard some crunching of leaves, like somebody was walking, not like an animal. I think as humans, we can determine what's an animal and what's human as they walk on the leaves. And we're like, I think we're going to go because something's telling us not to keep going. We just got weird words on GhostTube. And now we're hearing this like walking coming towards us. So we get in the car and we get home, and I'm like, I have this inclining that I need to do research on this place. So I did some research. Come to find out, GhostTube was actually right, which is weird. And this made me like, I should probably get this app. This might be a useful app in my future. There was a murder in New Boston in the 1800s. And for some reason, whoever murdered this guy left his boot with his foot in it. So, not like the crazy experience, but also an experience that kind of backed up the equipment we had. And we didn't have much equipment. All we had was the ghost tube and an EVP recorder, which got nothing. But at the same time, I'm like, how did that back up what happened in New Boston? It was strange. And it kind of got my ghosty juices flowing again. And after that, I'm like, I need to get some equipment. I need to download the ghost tube. I want to download the video app. I want to download everything. I have an EMF detector now. So I'm like, yeah. And I did a little bit of investigating my sister's house, but nothing really jumped out at me. Some wards did, but I didn't find much. But she has a really high EMF room. So there is a room I might have to go check out in my sister's and investigate. But yeah, that's my Vermont experience.
That's crazy. And as you said, New Boston, it was just like, oh my god, I need to hear this story because I love New Boston, and I have not been able to find any like foundation that were supposedly there that people say there is, and but so I sort of know New Boston, like the trail you're talking about, and I'm trying to think if this is where the part that you said where it kind of splits off, where you can go one way or the other way.
Yeah.
Now, that part that you're speaking of, is that like where you can kind of take like a how do I want to word it? Like it's almost, I guess that could say like a sharp left turn, or you can kind of go straight. That kind of feels like you're going into like a field or something.
Well, there's the road part, and then like you said, there's like a pull off they can do. And like I said, it's very grassy. I mean, there's a trail, but it's very like it's dense forest. It's not like Killington. You can hike in,
Right.
But yeah, you can go up the road, and I think the foundation is there. But we like I said, like something was like telling us like don't go. So we're like, yeah,
Right.
we're
Right.
gonna
Right.
listen to you and not go.
Right. No. I guess I'm trying to figure out where exactly you were, because this is already fascinating to the point where wow, I had my mic a little bit like folded up, so I probably sounded far away. So I apologize. So, but no, I'm curious because at any point in time, even during your research, Robert, did you ever come across any sort of name at all?
You know, I don't remember. I'm gonna be honest. I don't remember. I mean, I kind of want to research it now because now I'm like, I want to look this up again, and possibly even go back.
Oh, I if you so that was going to be one of my questions actually, Robert, is because one thing I'm curious about now is where this happened, and because I want to know how far away it was from where this happened, from where the 3 or 4 gravestones are. Did you know about that?
I did not. That's interesting.
Yes. So that's why I was wondering where you were. That's why I was asking like the path that you're talking about or whatever, because I know this, like I said, I know this road you're talking about. It's just, it's really hard for me to really describe this turn. But at one point, it's like if you were to drive it, let's just say, right, you're gonna
Mhm.
get to a point where you have to turn a left, and otherwise there's like a little fence um that's right there, like in front of you, like right before you take
Yep.
the left turn.
Yeah.
um so you would take that left turn, and from there, I don't know, I'm not real good with this, but I would say maybe about 30 to 40 feet on your left is where the gravestones are. So I guess if
Maybe
you
we were
know.
close.
Hmm.
Maybe we were close because I do remember there was like either a guardrail or a fence. Now that I'm picturing it, I think there was some fence, or either a guardrail or a fence to protect you from going off the road.
Yeah, I hope, I think that might be more further down the trail a little bit. I think because that's right before you go past like a little bridge at first, but as you keep going,
Mhm.
where it kind of becomes more uh uh wooded, whereas like it's not really good for a car to go up there. But I
Right.
mean, if you have a pretty decent car that can handle the rough terrain, I would say I think you're fine. But past that a little bit, and you keep going up, there will be another left hand turn, and that's where I'm talking about. um anyway,
Interesting.
so um I'm trying to remember if I even remember the right name. The initials of the gravestone, one of the gravestones that I can recall right now, um, was NW, and I think that stood for somebody's name by the either a Nathan or Nathaniel Wheeler. So that's why I was
Huh.
asking if you ever saw a name or from either your ghost tube or research.
You know what? I will probably have to research this because it's just so interesting. You know what
It is.
history is so interesting, especially when something like, I guess you call it ghosty happens. It's so like, yeah,
Right? Well, the fact that this Ghost Tube app basically told you murder, or sorry, blood at first, murder, and then boot, and then you pretty much research it to find out that, yeah, there was in fact a murder, and as you put it, a guy left his foot in a boot, basically. And So right there, it's just like that is just so crazy because I know not only is there New Boston, but they called it something else too. Um, I'll have to get back to you on that name, but it's like New Chittenden or New something besides New Boston. I don't know if you're
Right.
familiar with that, but anyway, yeah, that was like another old quote town, I guess, and yeah, it kind of just makes me wonder. But yeah, if you do go back to research this, I would love to find out what you can learn because I did try to reach out to the Chittenden Historical Society once, and I never heard back from them. So I never could quite figure it out myself. But again, if you can figure it out, that would be amazing. But I will offer this, Robert. Maybe when the weather gets nicer and stuff, maybe we could actually meet up at Mountaintop Inn, and you can maybe show me uh, on the trail exactly where that is, and I can actually show you where the three graves are.
That would be fun, and maybe I'll bring my EMF because if something was like telling us to stop, usually that means there's some sort of energy there.
Correct. And I've been there twice, and the last time I went was about almost 2 years ago or so. So almost 3 years ago, actually. And it was when I was trying to do a video for. I'll actually send you that after this is done. And for everybody else, I'll put that in the description of the episode 2 of the YouTube video I'm about to tell Robert, which is the 10th anniversary of the New Boston video, as I called it. I went back to the three graves. I'll just say about 3 years ago, and I tried to do exactly what you're saying. EMF. I tried doing a spirit box. I tried just to see if I could get any sort of evidence that there was maybe somebody still lingering around those graves because they're just. It's so weird that the graves are just right there, and if you don't pay attention, then you're not gonna see them. Because
Right.
I remember, like when I first started this haunted Vermont thing, like back in 2012, I didn't know about these graves until 2013. But somebody told me about these, and I was just like, "Where are they?" Because they told me exactly where to look, how far to go, and everything, and I still couldn't see it. And then I found them, and it was just like, wow, like like I can totally see why you could miss these graves because it's literally uh they're kind of like up against trees, and the side of the road that they're on, of the path of where you could basically drive a car, or horseback ride or whatever. But if you not pay attention where the tall grass is with the trees, you're gonna miss them. You
Right.
really can miss them. And I tried to take that into notice. So when I did some two videos on this place, the first video was the first time I found the graves, and the second time that I did a video was like I was mentioning for the 10th anniversary for Haunted Vermont, where I went back, and it's kind of cool to kind of see the difference in the video of how the woods surrounding New Boston has sort of changed, at least during that the time frame, because I want to say both times I kind of went around the same time, which was around like July.
Hmm.
So it was very interesting. Um, I guess Robert. So real quick, when you guys went and had this experience, was it summertime as well, or would you say fall, spring?
Yeah,
I'm just
yeah, it was
curious.
definitely summertime.
Definitely summer.
Yeah.
Hmm. That's yes. You really got my brain working now too, man. And it's really nice to hear the story because I was wondering if there was something there. Now that you confirmed that, it makes me wonder. Then I should go back myself. So that's why I would love to meet up with you, man, so I can um show you and give you that sort of experience with the graves and stuff like that. So if that works for you, I would love to stay in contact and everything else, man.
Yeah, that would be fun because now that you're jogging my memory, I'm pretty sure there's a foundation somewhere in that area too. I don't know if it's up the mountain or in the area we were, or the area you were, but there's like I'm pretty sure there's a foundation of a house still.
That's what I've heard, but unfortunately, the person that was supposed to meet up with me to show me that foundation part didn't make it that day.
Huh.
So
Weird.
he did try to describe where it was to me, but I mean, when you're at a place like uh uh this New Boston, I'm just gonna call it, I guess, the trailhead, whatever you want to call it, really, it's every like when you start talking trees and woods
Yeah,
in general, everything just starts to look the same.
it
So
did. Yes.
um so yeah, I'm like, with the direction that I got from the person of finding the graves, like I'm shocked as hell that I even refound the grave, man, because honestly, when I went a few years ago, like I said, that was the first time I'd been back since 2013.
Mhm.
So I was kind of like, oh man, I really hope I remember where these were. And I somehow managed to remember where it was. It took me a minute to really decide if I was if I was far enough. But I did find them, and I was just so happy because I really wanted to make sure I went back to find these guys. A great place, Robert, I would say to go, since you said you reside in Chittenden, is Horton Cemetery and Baird or Bard. I forget how you pronounce it because, again, I've heard it pronounced both ways, so bear with me. But that cemetery is amazing. That's where I'll never forget an experience that I had before starting Haunted Vermont.
Um,
Um,
wait, what was it called?
which one? Horton or Baird or Bard? Baird.
I'm curious now
Uh oh.
because I live right next to a cemetery. Well, not right next, but close.
Mm-hmm. Baird is off to the side of the road. Like you'll literally see the traffic where Baird is. Horton is more like you're heading towards Mountaintop Inn.
Okay.
Yeah, if that helps.
Uh, I don't think it's there is a cemetery by me, but I don't think it's either of those. It's a very small one.
Oh, surrounded by a little gate.
Yes.
I don't even know if there's a name for that one. I've always been wondering. Okay, okay. I think I know exactly the area that you're in. So you're right near
Wetmore.
okay, and
Wetmore Cemetery.
High Life Ski Lodge. Then I
Yeah,
think
Wetmore Cemetery.
Wetmore Cemetery.
Yes, that's the one that's up by me. It's
Huh.
small.
Yes. Yeah. Yeah. Huh. Yeah, that makes me wonder then too.
Mm-hmm.
But if you go to Baird or Bard, um, there's a female presence there,
Huh.
and I know that because I've captured her on an EVP once. We've captured her, I believe, on two photos. I know precisely on one, but I don't know about the second one. But the second one sort of makes me wonder, just because of the arm, the form of the arm is what I would
Yeah.
say. But yeah, um, but yeah, Robert, I don't want to take many more of your time, and I don't want to blabber on too about this, and this will be going on forever about New Boston, man. But I mean, I I loved your story, especially the New Boston one. Like you said, you're making me want to go back now. Like you really do. You're really making me want to go back,
Yeah, I think
and
I wanted to also.
it's awesome. Well, then you and I need to figure out a day or a weekend or something. Probably a weekend. That would be best because then we can
Yeah.
actually enjoy the the weather and stuff. But I mean, yeah, I would if you do end up trying to do more research on this again. I would totally would like to know what you find, especially if you can find any names. I would try to reach out to Chittenden Historical Society, but
Okay.
something tells me you would probably have better luck than I would. But yeah, Robert, if you have anything else that happened to you that you would love to share, please get a hold of me and we'll have you back on. And once again, thank you for reaching out to share your experiences from both New Jersey and Vermont.
Yeah, no problem. This was a lot of fun.
Well, thank you, Robert. And for everybody else, hopefully you enjoyed it well. And for everybody else, if you have a story that you would love to share, I mean, Robert reached out and look at this. He shared his experiences, and now I want to go do something with Robert. So that's the awesome connection of networking and stuff. Is you get to meet people, and if you find the interest of, like in this case, Robert and I have an interest now of New Boston that we would love to just go back and try to see if we can dig up more bones, as Chad and I used to say back in the day, which was an old event that we hosted back in July 6th, I believe, of 2013. So, yeah, what a long time ago event that was. But that was when we were trying to pick up the bones of New Boston, basically. It was a fun time. Got to meet a lot of people there and chat as well. Um, so for everybody else, keep your eyes open because you never know if an apparition will appear in front of you.